Hello, friends. Hello, Fort Worth. Hello, world. Thank you for being here. This is Fort Worth Roots, a variety interview podcast based out of Fort Worth, Texas. Now, don't let the name or the location fool you. This is a mobile podcast, and while Fort Worth is where it all starts, you can expect us to move all over the place. My name is Andrew Turner. I'm the host of the show, but the podcast isn't about me. It's about the guests that we invite on, and most importantly, you, the listener. Your feedback will directly shape the direction of the show, so please, please, please leave us a comment, send us an email, tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. We read these comments at the end of the show. This episode is one of the 10 episodes we're releasing as a set to launch our new podcast. Episode 1 was actually the 10th recording we did and is not the typical episode. This one is kind of an introduction to Fort Worth Roots that I did with two of my closest friends. I'd be honored for you to listen to this one, but if you're ready to jump right into the interviews, that's episode 2. So far, we've interviewed a variety of people from the DFW area. I'm proud of our lineup for the first 10 episodes. We'll continue to find even more awesome guests from a broader range of specialized subjects. Currently, our focus is primarily on local musicians, artists, and content creators. It's my job to make sure Fort Worth Roots always provides you with interesting content. But like I said before, if you have any comments, holler at us. And if you think you'd be an interesting guest or you know somebody that you think would, send us an email at media@fortworthroots.com. That's media@fortworthroots.com. My guest today is an aircraft mechanic specialized in maintaining UH-60 and CH-47 helicopters. He's an extremely talented private pilot and one of my closest friends. Give it up for the amazing, multi-talented, and extremely ridiculously good-looking Grant Peterson. My second guest today is a diagnostician for a local school district. She has earned her master's degree and speaks 2 languages. And she is another one of my dearest friends, the beautiful Dianela Martin. Let's start the show. History. Over the next 5 years, I want to see this turned into a mobile podcast studio. I've looked into scary minivans or paneled vans that used to be used as bread trucks, RVs, travel trailers, something so that the guests can jump in, do the podcast, and walk right out. And we can move on to the next thing. That'll also give us the ability to travel to remote places like Terlingua and set up shop and stay the night, enjoy the stars, and then drive on out of there safely, not having been accosted by coyotes or other wildlife. Get-togethers. I wrote some notes down here, and I'm having trouble figuring out what I was talking about. I want to build a community here. I want to make it so that the people that follow the show see this as more of a personal relationship and not just something that they tune into. So make sure that you comment on the episodes. Tell me where I messed up. Tell me where I did great, if that ever happens. And ask questions. Feel free to put some input in there, and I'll respond to it. I like the idea of, after the first 10 episodes, once I've launched this series, you ask questions put in the comment section, and then in the following episode, I'll address those comments. Eventually, hopefully there's so many comments that I can't get to all of them, but I'll try to always close out each episode by reading off comments and maybe answering some questions. And then I made a little note here, talk about what the podcast isn't, and the only thing I could come up with is political. It's not going to be a political podcast. We're going to have people in here that are far crazy right-wing Fox News watching Republicans, and we're going to have people that are way out there, woo-woo, liberal left wing. So if you can handle that, then welcome aboard. And that's it. That's the intro right there. My guests today, I have 2 phenomenal guests. Now, I'm releasing the podcast with 10 episodes already recorded. This is the 10th episode that I've recorded, but was always intended to be the first one. These are 2 very good friends of mine. One of them is a crew chief in the United States Army. He is kind of the backseat guy that sits in the Black Hawk and tells the pilots how to do their job. He's the most important crew member on a Black Hawk helicopter, and just an all-around incredible guy. He fashions his own leather bags. He makes leather wallets, all from scratch, using highly sought-after tools and the finest leathers. I carry one of his wallets in my back pocket at all times that he made for me. When he gave it to me, it was a light brown color, and now it's this beautiful, darker leather color with this nice sheen. Yeah, that my sweat has added to the composition.
Earned it.
It's a little gross, but it looks beautiful. So Leather, he's the crew chief. I'm doing the intro. You got to hold on a minute.
Say my name.
I know, but you don't do that first, okay?
Okay.
So he's a Black Hawk helicopter crew chief, most important member on a Black Hawk helicopter. He can take the thing apart, put it back together, totally blindfolded. He's a leather craftsman, and he also makes his own whiskey, which is incredible. And then, if that wasn't enough, now he makes bread in a cast iron pot, which is incredible. And if you ever have the chance to try his amazing bread, you will be a lucky person. Give it up for my great, great friend, Grant Peterson. Woohoo! My second guest today, equally amazing. She is an educational diagnostician.
Very good.
Was that close enough?
Good. That was perfect.
And these are two of my best friends in the whole wide world. Give it up for Dianela Martin.
You really should have introduced me first.
Hold on, let's do
I'm not
music.
as cool.
We got to do music. All right, and now we're all set and ready to go. And I want this to be the first episode that I don't have to edit, so no pressure.
Oh, you're
no
gonna
pressure.
be editing.
No, I'm not editing it.
There's going to be some editing.
That's another thing that I should say about this whole endeavor is that I want it to be as completely transparent, honest, and upfront. I don't want there to be an overabundance of editing. So I'm going to try to refrain from trimming out all the stupid crap that I say, just in the sake of authenticity.
Okay.
So
Keep in mind the listener.
For sure, for sure.
Fair. Yes.
So I did say it right.
You did, actually. Educational diagnostician.
What is that?
So I work for the special education department in a local school district, and I diagnose children who may suffer from learning disabilities.
Yeah.
And I just kind of help them out, come up with a good plan for what their education might look like within the school setting.
Right. And before that, you were what grade teacher?
I taught second grade and fourth grade bilingual.
So you've been a diag for the last 3 years?
No, I've only been a diag for 1 year.
Oh.
The year before that, I was an art facilitator, which is pretty much one step below a diag. It was like an assistant to a diag.
But now you have all the power.
No, hardly. I think I have a little bit more knowledge and experience now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always worked in education as my quote unquote big girl job.
Did you imagine that you would be a diag?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. And just a little background on me, I was born in Venezuela, but raised in Texas.
Right.
And I guess my father didn't really want me to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted me to own my own business. He came to America for his daughter to have greater opportunity and not work for the man.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be a teacher.
Plus, you'd probably look terrible in a woman's suit, right?
Yeah.
What do they call that?
A pantsuit.
Pantsuit.
A pantsuit.
That's what I was reaching for.
That's what I told my dad.
Your dad was like totally dismissive about you wanting to be a teacher.
Yeah, he was. He didn't want me to work for anyone. He wanted me to be like a business owner or something like that. But I just always had a passion for teaching people. Mm-hmm. So I think, I tried it his way, and it worked out my way. Yeah. And now he couldn't be more proud. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So in your face, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, that's
in
right.
Your face.
That's right.
Awesome. Grant.
Yeah.
The most important man on the Black Hawk helicopter. I don't know if you know this. Everybody else knows this, but pilots fight over you. Like, who's going to get Grant today?
That's so true.
That was always my goal when I first started crewing, was to be the guy everybody wanted on their crew. But it's not that hard because there's not very many of us. So, I mean, in my last company, because I just changed units, my last company, there was like, at the most, say like around Hurricane Harvey, we had 8 flying crew chiefs, like guys who could just get in and go and do whatever. And then, whenever I left last month, I had my last flight with the company. There's 4 tops.
Yeah.
So, half
Yeah.
of the combat capabilities that we usually had. So if you put yourself on the flight schedule as a crew chief, you're going to get used and abused.
Yeah. Well, it's
For
something
sure.
that's not really, I don't think aviation wide, I don't think it's very common that flight members of any type switch aircraft as much as a Black Hawk crew chief, because you guys hop around. You're not on the same bird all the time.
It depends on how the unit's set up.
Yeah.
But, the organizations that I'm in, they're typically in the Army, you'll be assigned, if you're in a flight company, you'll be assigned an aircraft, 2 crew chiefs usually, and that's your helicopter, you take care of it. I'm in the reserves, we don't have that many people, so the flight line is your flight line.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of all the helicopters, and you don't know which one you're going to be in until you show up for work that day or night, and you just use what you got. If you got a jump aircraft.
So it's more of a component thing than like an active duty out of
personnel
Washington would
levels.
probably have their own bird and take care
Certainly.
of that full time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing this full time, then yeah. But like us, we do it quote unquote part time, but we still have to fly the same hours that you would on active duty. But
So the listener doesn't know this yet, but you also do it on the civilian side as well. So you're always around these birds.
yeah. So it's kind of an interesting situation. The Army Reserves is one of those organizations that, 1 week in a month and then 2 weeks a year. But some is what you got to do, but somebody's got to be there Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to keep it going. So I work for that organization and as a Department of the Army civilian. And I'm an aircraft mechanic and, maintain these things, do phase inspections, and whatever else needs done for the Army Reserves on their rotary wing aircraft. So Chinooks and Blackhawks.
And on the maintenance side of it, you're taking apart the flight controls, the engines,
Everything.
the
Everything.
transmission,
Well, I'm not going to break down the transmission. I don't know.
portions of it, though. You're disconnecting it. You're putting new transmissions in there. You're testing them to make sure that there's not breakdown inside, like metal shavings, and you're servicing it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, we've done everything from, depot level maintenance that, which is on, way past our level at the unit level. But, I'm in an AVM shop, so it's we don't own aircraft. We work on other people's aircraft, and we have all of the back shops. So work on the individual components and take those apart and work on those for the most part.
You're kind of like the Jiffy Lube of the Army aviation. They just bring it on in when it's time to get serviced, and then they fly away.
Yeah. We'll take it apart, put it back together.
You guys even serve coffee.
We do have pretty good coffee there,
Yeah.
if you like that sort of thing.
Are y'all still making sure that only Folgers goes into that thing?
That is a mandatory.
I tried to put Maxwell House in there one time, and I was heavily reprimanded.
Yeah, you get hurt.
It's not something you do.
No.
It's just not. To this day, I don't understand it, but I respect the rules.
I abide.
I abide. The dude abides.
Dude abides. Personally, I make my own coffee at home and take it to work, and then
That's
whenever
the move.
that's gone, I don't drink coffee anymore.
By the way, for those of you that are listening and not watching on YouTube, we are drinking some of his very impressive coffee. This is the best coffee to be drank in the city of Fort Worth.
Well,
This
it's
is
espresso.
okay.
Well,
All right.
It's
Sorry.
Lavazza.
If
called
there's
it the
one
wrong thing.
It's pretty
thing,
good.
if if there's one thing that you need to know about Grant is he does shit right.
He does. Yeah.
That's
always
just what
perfection.
he does.
Thank you.
I mean, all the way to the leather bags. I remember when you started that, and I was like, that's good enough. And you're like,
It's never good enough.
or the bread. The bread comes out, and I'm like, let's get into that. And you're like, well, it's not totally ready.
Yeah.
Calm down, Mr.
I'd
Perfectionist.
just like to know, I don't know. I mean, we walked into the grocery store and there was no bread. So I was like, F
can
this,
fix
I'm
this.
making my own damn bread. And now I'm 2 pant sizes bigger.
That's okay.
It's getting hotter, so I don't want to go out and run.
I tried to get you on the bandwagon, and now I'm
I'll
starting
get
to.
there.
I'm starting to kind of peter out on it. I was
Well, you
doing
know.
those long runs.
Yeah. Peaks and valleys, though.
Yeah, it's been kind of a 2-week valley for me.
Ooh, that first run's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I know.
Might not try and do 12 miles.
Well, last one was only 8, so and it felt good.
maybe
8
a
miles felt
5K.
good.
Yeah.
After 12 miles, I'm sure it
Well,
felt good.
I'd gotten up to 14, and the next day I was a train wreck, and I couldn't hardly walk for like 2 days.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe no more.
That's
14
me
mile.
after 3 flights of stairs, buddy.
You can't walk for 2 days after that?
Yeah.
That's bad.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But the bread isn't helping, so.
I've laid off the bread here recently.
Well, I don't want you to give up on your dream of bread making because it is incredible.
Well, it's just something.
And I like telling people all these things that you do because they're like, are we still talking about the same man?
Yep. Yep. He's a jack of all trades. As
Master of
cliche
none.
and cheesy as that sounds.
So before we get off subject too far on the helicopter thing, if I want to tag this as a Black Hawk helicopter crew chief / mechanic type thing, what do you want to tell somebody that's looking into either they're going to get into the Army and they're looking at either 15 Tango or something similar, or maybe somebody that's considering getting their AMP license and they want to work on helicopters? Is there something maybe you could say to these people?
Yeah, go to the Air Force.
Go to the Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the real nice Black Hawks.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Army, and I certainly love Army aviation. But knowing what I know now, I've been doing it for a little bit now, and just the quality of life, especially if I'm going to do it full time.
Yeah.
Active duty. I'm going to the Air Force.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Well, you know my story. I did. I went.
Combat arms first.
Well, hold on. They the very beginning they had the shopping center where they're all right next to each other. You know, Air
Yes.
Force, Marines,
Yeah.
Navy, Coast Guard, Army.
There's one down the road from
Yeah,
us.
there's one in
Yeah.
every town.
Yeah.
And the smaller the town, the better location they got, right?
Okay.
But the first one I walked into was the Marines office, and I'm talking about this goofy kid with a mop for hair,
Mm-hmm.
not, probably hadn't touched a razor in weeks, oversized T-shirt, baggy jeans, ate-up shoes.
So not too different from now.
Right, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, same.
But I walked into the Marines office, and they just kind of looked at me like, can we help you? And I was like, yeah, Marines, join me now. And they're like, go check next door.
I knew it.
Yeah, for sure. So the next door I went to, I think it was the Navy, and I looked in the window, and they're wearing those like dress uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Like your stereotypical
Yeah, the
sailor
little hats
outfit.
and the little
Yeah, it's been so
ties.
long, I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
what they had on,
little
but
neckties.
whatever it was,
right?
I saw it, and I was like, I can't do that.
It's not for you.
So I went smooth on past the Navy, and I walked into the Air Force office, and, they took their feet off the desk and stood up, and they're, oh, hey, man, how's it going? And told them, I'm looking to join the military, and wanted to know what the requirements were. And they, well, yeah, no problem. We'll get you in here. When did you graduate from high school? And I went, well, I have my GED. And they're, oh, yeah, well, if you'll go get some college then and come back, then we can talk. Like, all right. So I walk out of there, my head held low, and I walk into the Army recruiting
Right
office.
into the arm.
And they all jump up out of their seats, Music starts playing. I think somebody threw some confetti. This guy was like, "What's up, dude?"
Yeah.
And then there was like a guitar riff.
You like machine guns?
You want to blow stuff up? Yeah. So that was I was a shoe-in. They saw my ASVAB scores and they're like, "Dude, you're a genius." You know, really pumping me up.
Yeah.
And that was it. But you're right. Now that we've spent some time in the military, we know that you want to be in the Air Force.
I want to be in the Air Force.
Because if the Army guys are sleeping in a tent, the Air Force guys are like 10 blocks down the street in a Hilton. And they're in their own
Hotel
room.
company, literally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When we went to training in Virginia.
Yes. The home of, well, I guess the AIT, or, you know.
Which is the individual school training.
Yeah, for Army Aviation. Maintainer's side. That's where you go to learn how to be a baby Black Hawk mechanic or a Chinook mechanic or a hydraulics guy or electrician. Well, that was my first wake up right there to you messed up and should have joined the Air Force. Was, you know, we get to the first day of school and what the heck are these Air Force nerds doing here with us? I hadn't seen them around. Oh yeah, we stay at the hotel, like off post. What? Yeah, we stay in hotels off post, and they pay us extra money because it's below
substandard
living.
Substandard living conditions.
So-
So they got better accommodations. And the Air Force was like, "Sorry, you're having to put up with these Army guys. Here's an extra check."
Shut up.
Yeah. So they're coming home to the room service and their bed's being turned down. And I'm coming back to the barracks and, you know, my room's being turned down by, you know, a drill sergeant, though. So
And you're sharing a tiny room with another guy
5 other dudes.
who doesn't like you.
No. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about any of them, but, you know, there were definitely different levels of maturity. There, you know, some of them are just really great dudes, and some of them I lost touch with, so.
Well, and whenever we went to those schools, we were older. And a lot of
Yes.
these guys coming in
I
were
was 30 years old when I went
18,
through.
19 years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big difference.
for sure. Virginia was beautiful, though. Did you get to do anything while
I
you were
went
there?
to Virginia Beach. I went to, my cousin was at another school at another post not far from there, so on the weekends he'd come get me. And what's that? Busch Gardens. Yeah, he took me to Busch Gardens a couple times.
Free admission for
Yeah, free
military.
admission, and then I bought the ticket so you could like skip to the front of the line. And I love roller coasters at the time, and I still do, but it's been a while. But we just over and over and over went on these things. It was really fun.
Yeah. I got lost in the beer gardens,
Yep.
and I don't think I rode a single ride.
Went into the beer gardens, and you know,
So is this like Six Flags with
yeah,
beer?
yeah,
Kinda.
yeah.
Wow.
Do they sell beer at Six Flags
I don't
here?
think so. I don't know. I haven't
I
been
don't
to
know.
Six Flags
It's been
in
a really long
years,
time.
to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
neither.
But the Busch Gardens thing, they had like,
I mean, it is.
they did it
Busch.
up right. There
Yeah?
was this. They had like different. Like here's Germantown, and
Oh,
here's
cool.
Scotland, and they.
So kind of like Disney World.
I've never been to Disney World. Have you
Oh.
been to Disney World?
I was a kid.
Grant, did you
but-
go to Disney? Am I
Negative.
privileged?
Sorry.
Tell us about Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
How old
I
were you?
was probably like 10 or so.
So just your parents wasted money because you don't hardly
Yeah.
retain any.
I feel like it was a
memories.
waste of money. And like, so my family lives in South Florida,
Mm-hmm.
which is not close to Orlando. I don't know if you know geography, but it's probably like, when I was a kid, I was like, it felt like a day drive.
I'm the
but
host of this show. Of course, I know geography.
no, I don't know geography.
I don't know where
But
it's at.
I felt like a day drive. I think it's maybe like a 3 or 4 hour drive.
Orlando's kind of in the armpit, right?
It's on the coast, but far north.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're way south, and Orlando's a little bit up north. So it felt like forever drive. And all I remember really is the drive. And we didn't even stay there. So like we drove in the morning, went to the park, and then drove back at night. So we didn't do it right.
Did y'all do just one day?
Yeah.
Oh.
And we didn't do it right. So, but I do remember the different countries
Yeah.
being represented in there. And it was a waste. Don't tell my dad that though. I'm sure he's
probably
he's
gets
still
it.
pissed about
He'll
it.
hear this.
Maybe.
It'll be all right. Yeah. But
So that's the first part of the podcast, and that what I've noticed is whenever I sit down with somebody and we start talking, there's like this struggle to kind of to get into a groove and start feeling natural. So we've talked about your individual career paths, and now I want to talk about Lucille's and why we didn't eat more.
felt like we ate enough.
We could have eaten more, though. You
Could
realize
have.
that?
Lucille's. So those who don't know, Lucille's is one of those great restaurants here in Fort Worth
On Camp Bowie. Shout out.
on the bricks. That
Eggs Benedict.
yeah, their brunch, their breakfast.
Incredible eggs.
They have great coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
Not as good as yours.
So
Wow.
well, I mean, it's
Close.
so you can get good coffee and you can get good breakfast, and we go there any
Nice
chance we
little
can.
restaurant.
Yeah,
It's in kind of an older building in a
yeah. It's
Weird,
been
like,
I don't know how long it's been
triangular
there, but
shape.
A long time, I think.
we're thankful it's there, though.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
It's one of my go-to breakfast places. It's on Camp Bowie, about a mile northwest of I-20 or I-30.
30,
Yeah,
yep.
and Lucille's has always been a good option. There's the Beacon over there at Hicks Airfield.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
another one of my
Up
big
past
stops.
Saginaw. Yeah.
Love theirs. They've got this pancake where I think it's a pineapple pancake.
Upside
Yeah.
down pineapple pancake.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We've had many of those.
We
yes.
have.
I don't know if it was on Facebook or where I saw this. It had to have been Facebook, but they had to finally close down the one on the airfield because people were just terrorizing the pilots and
Oh.
causing a big problem.
Yeah, it's
so,
a real pain in the butt because people are retards going through there.
yeah.
They don't. I mean, there's airplanes going around there,
Well,
and
I was
people
surprised. The first time I went
drive
out
right
there, I mean, how would they know? It's just open to the public.
right.
And if you have no aviation knowledge, it's first time on an airfield driving a car.
But there are signs.
There's signs, but these people don't read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering when that was going to be, because it's a very popular place.
Yeah.
Aw.
So
Or when there was going to be an accident.
yeah.
I hadn't heard that. That makes me sad.
I don't know that it's permanent. They made it sound like it was kind of like a COVID-19 influence decision.
Well, we certainly need to find that out because
That's another thing that we didn't talk about in your intro, man. Grant is also a very good pilot. Has his,
Yes, he is one of the best.
is that a 172? Your Cessna? or
yeah,
is it
it's a little 172.
Yeah.
I bought it from my cousin, who had bought it from our uncle. So it's been in the family a little while, and I just use it for,
Leisure.
taking Dianela around, and
Dianela
Yeah.
enjoys it very much.
does she?
Yeah, she does.
yeah, we've done a couple good sized trips.
One of your first ones was all the way down to Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
wow.
Key West, yeah. A buddy of mine, flying buddy of mine, he just, we'd been out tooling around. He was trying to build some hours, and we were pushing the airplane in to the hangar. And after flying, and this old guy comes up, and he's like, "Oh, man, we were just talking." He's like, "I flew a plane just like that to Key West. Like 40 years ago." And we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, what are you doing next week? It was Veterans Day weekend. So after that, I always try to make it a thing to take an airplane trip on Veterans Day
Was
weekend.
that the longest,
Yeah.
nonstop trip
2
you made?
days. 2 days in an airplane.
Where did y'all stop off then?
We stopped in Louisiana. I'd have to look at my logbook to remember it. But
In the panhandle of Florida as well, right?
yeah, we stopped in Pensacola.
Mm-hmm.
And then once in Florida, or a little further south, down by outside of Miami, right outside of the Class Bravo, we stopped there. Right, and then you just follow. So it's not that bad flying over there. It's no different flying in the southeast, southeast it's just like Texas.
Yeah.
You know, it's flat. You go a little too far south, there's the Gulf. Turn around, go north. So
Hard to get lost.
yeah, and yeah, man, that was such a cool trip. It's one of those things. I had no idea until I did it. You know, it's just you look back and say, "Damn, I did that."
Yeah.
I hopped in a little bitty airplane and I flew that thing.
Well, at least you had some
All the way
experience, and you knew the airplane, and you knew yourself and your capabilities.
Oh yeah,
Dianela just got into this plane with basically a stranger,
yeah,
and went to a place where dinosaurs walk around roaming free in the streets.
pretty much.
No.
Were you terrified?
I wasn't terrified.
You should have been.
I wasn't terrified.
She's just such a good passenger. And
And I
co-pilot.
grew up around pilots. My
Yeah.
family's pilots. So, you know, it wasn't my first time in a little airplane. But I could tell Grant is very methodical. He's the best pilot I know. Even I love my uncles,
They
but
fly freaking machines.
it doesn't matter. Grant's
matters.
extremely methodical. He's very planned out. I knew from the minute that I pulled up to the hangar that it was going to be a good trip.
Yeah.
So I had no worries at that point.
I understand what she's saying. She's not giving you undue credit and saying that you're a better pilot than somebody that flies a 777, but you are very detailed and by the book, and a lot of that's got to do with
It's always safety first.
you know
Well,
before you
certainly.
started flying that plane. you'd
Couple
already,
things, yeah. Flying, not just myself, but I put my children in that,
Yeah.
and you know, my loved ones. Both of y'all have been in there with me. We've gone places, done things, and number one, be able to use the airplane again.
Yeah.
Right.
Number two, you know, don't die. That's a big one.
That should be number one. Honey.
Yeah. Well, and then I don't know if I can't use that airplane. I don't know if I want to be.
Right.
No, I'm just. But the other thing that's always been really important, and then my good friend that taught me how to fly, his name's Andy. He always stressed on your passengers, you know, what kind of flight are you giving them? How are they? Do they want to get back in it after you've taken them on a little
Yeah.
sightseeing trip?
Yeah. If
So
they
being
don't-
really cognizant of, and he's an airline pilot, so it's a big deal for him. It's not the same riding in the back of a Black Hawk.
Yeah.
It's like, did you die?
Yeah. Do you have both of your arms?
Yeah. And the helicopter's good, or can you fix it? Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, no big deal, but I've been in my share of airplanes,
Mm-hmm.
and no one can land an airplane like Grant Peterson.
I'm telling you,
That's
like,
just one airplane. I've been landing that one over and over and
Every
over. I better be
time.
good at that.
Every
It's
time, though,
not-
I wait for the landing, and I'm like, and this is on any airplane. I judge the pilot by their landing.
which is really asshole behavior. But okay.
You know, it is. It's fine. I'll own it. But, you know, whether it be an American flight or whether it be, you know, whatever airplane I'm in, that's the judgment. And every single time Grant has had a really good landing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you haven't been there for all of them. So. It's been some rough ones, I'll tell you that. Certainly.
First time he took me out and we came back in, I remember that the landing was a little bit rough. This was years ago, and I don't know how long you'd had that plane, maybe a year, maybe two. But we came in, and it was a windy day, and you just weren't feeling it. And we kind of touched down for a second, caught some air, and then came down again. And, I mean, at no point were you out of control, but it just was not.
If it came back off the ground, there's, a
Yeah.
control thing.
Right. Well, okay,
Yeah.
You're right. But it wasn't terrifying, but it wasn't the best landing ever. And then the next time we got in there, it was a little bit of a better landing. And nowadays, every single time we come in, it's like landing on just a smooth sheet of glass, or
Well, I
like
wish I
you're
could
on a
say
track
that.
and you just kind of moved
Yeah.
right in. So
Yeah. I would-
you've gotten better, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you.
And it shows. So as long as Dee's happy.
I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
So the big move to Colorado is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving to Colorado here next month.
Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Now, you've always had a Texas address, and you have too since you moved to the States.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 7th generation Texan.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a big deal. This is not like somebody moving from California to Colorado. This is a Texan, a real native Texan
That's right.
moving.
I think we'll be all right. Colorado Springs is, it's a great mixture
Yeah.
town. It's got, 3 different military bases there. It's got the Air Force Academy. It's got Peterson Air Force Base. And then it has Fort Carson, which is where I'm going to be at Butts Army Airfield. So,
Have
yeah.
you started to build up a list of jokes about butts?
They've been doing that for years.
I know,
I'm
that's
not
what
going
I'm
to come
saying.
up
They're
with
tired.
anything new
You need to start now
somebody hasn't already heard.
because, like you
Surely.
said, they've been hearing it their entire lives. So it's up to you to come up with some really good original material.
I'll laugh.
She'll laugh.
I'll try. Certainly will.
We got off track about breakfast foods, and I'm not done with that. So Lucille's is good. Lucille's, it's really good, and it's kind of centrally located. Hicks is a little bit out of the way. It's northern Fort Worth.
But you can
Amazing
fly
food.
into Hicks. So
And even though
that's
the
the plus.
airfield restaurant, and I don't know, they might be open by now, but at some point they closed down for a little bit. Even if that one's closed down, there's one over there on the adjacent road that borders that runway.
Oh,
Same restaurant, secondary
Oh.
location.
right.
So you can still,
Okay.
and I haven't been
Okay.
into
Land
that
there
one.
and walk?
Yeah.
You could. It'd be kind of a weird walk because there's train tracks and a fence, but so I would not suggest. You'd probably Uber. That's what you'd do.
Oh, okay.
You'd Uber over there. But that on the airfield restaurant's probably open to pilots at least, I'm sure, because
Hopefully so.
that's what it's there for, is for the pilots. And since we moved to North Fort Worth back in 2015, that place has expanded at least twice because it got so popular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking it up? See if it's
Looks
open.
like it's open.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So it may be open already. Old South Pancake House.
Old South is a good one.
It's a little more of it's like a larger greasy spoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually a greasy spoon is kind of a hole in the wall.
It's
but
weird because the crowd, depending on when you go, the crowd is completely different. So if
Yeah.
you go on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you're going to get your usual breakfast crowd, you
Yeah.
know. But if you go, they're open, I believe, 24 hours.
That's what I was gonna say.
So,
24
you know,
hours.
after a night of drinking, you can go at 2 a.m. and it's going to be a different crowd.
I've never experienced that one. Usually
Yeah.
I'm fighting the church people to get a table on a Sunday. Because Sunday's like my breakfast day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
But
can't
also-
think of any other ones.
I can think of one. And that is over in the stockyards, the Horseshoe Hill Cafe.
Horseshoe Hill.
Oh, they do a breakfast, huh?
We've been for breakfast.
No, we
No.
went to Horseshoe Hill for their chicken fried steak, which was incredible.
Which was lunch. Okay. Okay.
but I didn't know they did breakfast.
They do brunch
We'll call
on the
it
weekends.
brunch.
But right when I said I can't think of any other places, I remembered Snooze. Have y'all been there yet?
I have been to Snooze.
That is a really good breakfast.
Yeah, it is.
It's on the pricier end.
Yeah.
But it's really busy, and it's because it's really good.
Snooze is actually a chain.
Where's
Is it?
that at?
Yeah.
It's right on West 7th,
Right where the bridge
right
ends.
before you get to the bridge.
What's the one on Magnolia over by Connie Rosso?
Oh, Brood.
Yes.
Brood is a good one
been
as
there.
well.
Have we?
We have a lot of brunch places in Fort Worth, y'all.
That's because breakfast is the best, and I'm proud of you for using correctly the word y'all.
Oh,
That was perfect.
absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So we're 40 minutes in, and we've talked about your move to Colorado,
Yeah.
talked about your respective career paths.
Mm-hmm.
What's left?
Well, I mean, we talked briefly about Colorado, but Grant didn't say why we were moving to Colorado.
Oh, because of the
You're
baby.
going to what?
No
You
baby.
didn't tell him?
No baby.
okay.
No baby.
Do not put that out there. Don't put that in.
Sorry.
Not
Yeah.
funny. You better
Wasn't
knock on
thinking of
some wood. No, Grant got a great opportunity.
Yep.
Tell him about your unit up there. You're
Well,
really
I'm not in
excited
there
about
right
that.
now. It's kind of funny how things work. I'm working my way up there. I've gotten so my civilian job is kind of one of those deals that you miss all the shots that you don't take, and you're never going to grow or you know
He was even
move forward if you don't try.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those deals, You, like I said, you miss all the shots you don't take.
right.
And there was an opportunity where I work now here in Fort Worth over on the Joint Reserve Base, not far from here. And that kind of gave me the confidence to apply for this job and throw my hat in the ring.
Well, it's going to be another badass bullet point on your resume, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love what I do, and it is it's rewarding. It's not just a paycheck. It's not just a career. What we do directly impacts others and helps, and that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to help those around me? What can I do? Just,
Well, you're certainly good at it.
well,
You've always been good at it. We worked together briefly while I was in the reserves in Grant's unit, and we went on a little deployment to a hot little place called Kuwait,
Mm-hmm.
and we worked out of this nasty. I mean, it's a tent, and we'd
Yeah.
pull the helicopters in there, we'd pull them apart, put them back together, and push them out the door. And Grant was one of the few people that I could depend on to do it right and not have to look over his shoulder, and that just was not a common thing. Good mechanics were in high demand over there, and I can tell you firsthand, Grant, you're one of the better people to work with in that
Well,
environment.
I appreciate it, and that little trip certainly was a great learning experience.
That's the most polite way to put it.
Yeah, well, what else are you gonna say? It is what it is. It's make the best of what you can with what you got, and it is what it is. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, for sure.
Glad I learned a lot.
No regrets.
No regret. Are there things I'd have done different? Yeah, but learn from it. Move on.
Yeah,
Don't dwell on it.
for sure.
Don't forget it, but don't take the good, learn from the bad, and carry on.
We got to go to some cool places while we were there too. My first
Yeah.
deployment, I didn't get to do so much playing
No.
around, and it's not like we had a bunch of free time. And there were certainly
No.
people that got to go off base a lot more than we did, but
I did get to go. I kind of weaseled my way into one of those positions where if there was something cool, I got to go do it.
yeah,
And that I handled all of the unit's GSE, like ground support equipment. So if it was a crane, if it was
that's right.
an
I forgot.
AGPU, which is like a ground power unit,
Okay.
anything like that. Of course, I was like, "Yep, that's mine. I'm doing the crane. Yep,
Cool.
nobody else can operate that but me." So I'm a Black Hawk guy, but whenever the Army says, "Well, we're bringing 5 Chinooks over on C5s and they need to be put together," we need a crane over there. So my hand was up first. So yep, can't do it without me. But what that did is that got me in front of some people that could, do,
Open some doors.
open some doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that it just showed them who they had.
Yeah,
I'm
forgotten
not
about that, but you did a lot of work down there in the port.
Oh yeah. Well, not the port, but we were going back and forth a lot to Ali Asalim.
Mm-hmm.
We were going every day. We were going down to the Kuwait International in Kuwait City. So we drive whatever it was from Camp Beering south to, I think it was like an hour and a half or something like that.
Did you ever go? There was a thing that they did, and I think it was a weekly program that they did. I want to say it was called something like Breakfast with the Kuwaitis or something like that. And
I did not
they
ever
would
do that.
take you to one of the bases, and they had this elaborate tent system put together,
Yeah.
carpeted floors, electric ran to it. Now,
Yeah.
thing about the Kuwaitis, in order for them to get their government check, Kuwait is comprised of about 3 million in population. 2 million of those people are not from Kuwait. They are from outside countries, and they're there just to work.
Imported
there's
workers.
Only about 1 million legitimate Kuwaiti citizens, and every single one of them draws a check off the royalties from the oil that comes out of the ground there. Now, one of the things that they have to do, oh, and by the way, I am not an expert on this. I'm just saying some stuff, and it's either true or not true. So if you Google this and I'm wrong, sorry. But there's 1 million residents, and they all get a check, and it comes from the oil that comes out of the ground. And in order to get that check, they have to do certain things to like maintain good faith or whatever in order to get that check. One of the things they have to do, they have to go to the desert. Now, this is true. I know this. They have to go to the desert once a year, and this is either for a week or 2 weeks, and they have to live there. And it's part of their heritage.
Like just survive?
It's listen.
I don't know.
That's the point that I'm getting to. It's not survival.
I mean, you'll see a bunch of tents out there, and with the Toyota Land Cruisers parked next to them, and then
or the Mercedes.
and there'll be a bunch of camels and trash.
Yeah,
The desert is full of trash. That's one of the things I remember the most was just as you drove through there or flew over it. It's it's like
Just
West
piles of
Texas.
crap. Yeah.
All the shit is just
So
blowing everywhere.
I wonder how much of it is just that it is a flat land mass with nothing obstructing it. Because if you were to go to Arkansas and you took away all the foliage, can you imagine how much goddamn garbage you'd be able to see? But yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's just mounds of shit off the roads. There was a dead camel that was parked at one of the main thoroughfares, like as you're leaving the base.
Drove by that thing every day.
Every day for like 6 months, and then one day we went by and it had exploded.
I guess.
Gross.
But every time we'd go by it, it would be a little bit bigger, and a little
Yeah.
bit bigger, and we were like, one day that thing's just gonna pop, and then it did.
Birds probably got to it or
Yeah,
something.
opened it up.
So gross.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was farting at all, like if it had have exploded
Probably.
quicker.
Oh, maybe not.
So, but maybe it was.
It would
though.
have to have expelled some gas.
We'd have to put some control into the experiment
No camels are going to be harmed.
in the making of this podcast.
Mm.
I just wonder, if it was expelling any gas or if that was just like a good representation of how long
so
it
you
takes.
were telling us about the Kuwaiti breakfast.
Oh, we got off track.
Yeah.
The tents. All right, so these people are tent experts, and it's because they are required to live in the desert every year for a certain amount of period or a certain period of time. The tents have carpeted floors. They're extremely sturdy. I think probably this building would fall down in a hurricane before their tent would.
Oh, wow.
Pretty stout.
I can't remember all. I just remember walking in there and just being like, Jesus Christ, this thing is legit. Power. They had full kitchens in there. I mean, it was just extremely real furniture. You know, when we go camping, we've got fold out everything, right? Fold out chairs, fold out tables. All this was like handcrafted mahogany wood. I mean, it was.
Wow.
legit.
So they do the desert right.
Yes.
It's Grant style.
Yeah. No detail overlooked, for sure.
Been in an RV or something like that.
So speaking of RVs, that's where we're headed next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I was looking at
I
vans.
think that's a
this
cool
morning.
idea.
I think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
A mobile podcast.
I saw a
Mobile
thing with a
podcast
mobile
studio.
barber, and I thought, man, that'd be awesome.
Come to you, trim
Oh,
your hair.
wherever he is, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't
I
have
thought it was
to
pretty cool.
go through the excruciating process of getting in your car and going to Pro Cuts.
I wouldn't
You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't go to Pro Cuts. You know?
anyway, but that's no, it's been a while since I've been in a Pro Cuts. I've been, on the search for a good barber for a long time. I found one place over on 7th that it's kind of tucked away, and I'd been going there for 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months, but if I didn't get this one guy, it'd be kind of spotty, but, it'd be about, 50-50, 60-40
Yeah.
split. Well, the other day, with all of this COVID stuff, I'd gone, 3 months without a haircut, and it was driving me nuts. And she'd trimmed it up for me with my clippers
Just
once.
the neck.
But
That's all I could
that,
be
right?
trusted to do.
Yeah. So once they finally let these places open back up, I found one, and I'm a little irritated at myself for not looking further into it at the time, because I did see it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's on 7th Street too, over by that Tuk Tuk Thai, across the street, and a little barber shop. This guy was great,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking, man, freaking month before I leave, I find this place. Damn it.
Yeah.
But,
That's how it works out.
You'll find a place up there in Colorado
sure.
Springs.
But I saw on TV the little mobile barber, and I thought, wow, that's a great idea. How neat is that?
Well, with the coronavirus thing, I think there's going to be a lot of demand for personalized experiences. We've, over the last 20 years, have already seen a depletion in the brick and mortar stores, and this might be the final blow. So you're going to see a lot more delivery with groceries. I think some of the holdouts, people that weren't into delivery, grocery delivery, are probably more apt to do it now. They were forced
certainly.
into it.
Yeah.
Right.
You got people that are probably on a high dollar crafted toilet paper subscription of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's just
good
the
Lord.
madness.
Yeah.
There's a company, and I don't remember where they're from or what the name of it was, but they sell novelty toilet paper, like
Shut up.
high-end, like custom toilet paper.
Custom.
And it's expensive.
I wonder if they print things on it that you could read while you're,
Oh, come on.
sitting on the toilet, and then
I mean, that would
I mean
be
that's
good
like
for
dual
them.
purpose.
It'd be good for them because then you're using more toilet paper than usual because you want to get to the next
no.
chapter, right?
That's
And
true.
I'd stay off of my
That's true.
phone.
No, you
Yeah.
wouldn't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta have a free hand.
So there's going to be some oddities about this whole thing, and the COVID-19, of course, has come up on every episode
Well,
that I've done.
It's not
Wow.
over yet.
No, it's
That's
not.
the other thing is, what is the next?
Well, as soon as the
thing.
rioting started, it almost seemed like overnight the COVID-19 just lost a lot of steam. But then you
Right.
go to the store and you still see everybody wearing the masks and the
Yeah.
gloves. And the CDC and World Health Organization have upgraded all of their, or revised all of their statements and warnings. Like
Right.
COVID-19 doesn't spread very well from asymptomatic people. It doesn't spread well
Right.
on surfaces. It's not necessarily a big airborne threat. But
Yeah.
Well, and I think that we all kind of had to become experts overnight, but surely none of us are qualified
well,
to.
that's the thing. Nobody really qualifies, right? Even
Right.
the officials that are getting in front of the camera and telling the nation what to do. It's like
Yeah.
they don't have any information to go off of.
Right.
Oh,
So. But I think everybody was just as concerned as everybody else the first couple of weeks until the numbers started coming out.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was a deal. I was actually at Fort Eustis in Newport News, Virginia, when that had
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. came down the pipe, and I had been visiting with my cousin over the weekend, and I noticed, or I saw on the news that a Marine from Fort Belvoir had contracted it, and I thought, ooh, all right, service members are getting it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens on Monday morning
Right.
when we'll go back to school. And Monday morning, they looked at us and they're like, wash your hands,
Yeah.
maintain good hygiene.
Drink water, take
So,
Motrin.
yeah, I was there like another week or two, and I didn't give it another thought,
Yeah.
honestly. I'd kind of, whenever I'd kind of close myself off to the world there, I was just listening to podcasts
Mm-hmm.
the whole time, so I didn't hear any news.
Yeah.
And it was very nice. And so whenever I'm leaving town, graduated from class on a Thursday. My original flight wasn't out until late, so I was like, let me get on an earlier one, see if I can. I ended up getting back here to Dallas, DFW, at like midnight, something like that, just as they put a hold on all the Department of Defense travel. So
Right
I
under
made
the
it
wire.
home. Yeah, made it home just in time. But going through the airport there, I connected through Charlotte and Newport News, the airport. They had it's not a very big airport, so they didn't really have much to close off. They had they have a bar there. They were still serving drinks. They were still doing all the stuff. And so it really wasn't much difference, but the girl behind the bar was wearing gloves and a mask.
Yeah.
Like, okay, then, well, that's odd. And then, but whenever I'd gotten to Charlotte and I was sitting there, it was 8 o'clock at night, something like that. The plane I was getting on had just landed from L.A.
Oh, Jesus.
And every layer of personal protection equipment was on that airplane. There were some people were walking off of that thing not wearing any, and then some guys were wearing full-on face masks with gloves taped around their long-sleeve shirts, and just thinking, okay, well, yeah, all right,
Now you're going to get on that plane.
now I'm going to get on this plane. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And then, I wasn't too worried, but
I wonder what air travel's like right now, because
ooh,
we're going to get you moved.
would you like
up
to speak on that, Dianela?
Oh,
We just
man.
flew up to Denver.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago.
Like 3 weeks ago, we went to Denver.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm a rule follower. I like to, color within the lines. So I'm doing my
Tell me what to
research.
do.
Yeah. Well,
I do what I want.
I'm doing my research on, what to expect when I'm getting on the airplane. I also have a little bit of anxiety about this whole thing. So I just want to be conscious of my environment.
Sure.
So I'm doing some research, and I won't name the airline.
American Airlines.
Damn. He did it. That's okay. They're not a sponsor.
Everything I read online and saw online, it led me to believe that social distancing was going to be put in place, and I'm conscious, but I'm also not overly fearful of anything. But we made sure we had good masks, and well, we get on that thing and they're packing us in like
It was a full flight.
sardines.
Yeah.
And then I liken it to every person who has never flown before. They are now flying because the tickets are so low. I mean, we paid $70. And this was out of necessity.
It's one way, right?
No, this is round trip.
$70
$70 a person
Jesus.
round trip to Denver International.
So as soon as we found out about the position up there, I booked the flight.
Yeah.
We needed to check out where we were going to be living.
Find neighborhoods. We needed. I don't know anything about it.
And then shortly after is when, all of the restrictions on travel and stuff came up. So we were like, we already have these flights.
So are they requiring people to wear masks? And
You are required to wear a mask.
what about gloves?
No gloves. You don't have to wear gloves.
So now, not to beat on the airline or anything like that, but I get it. They're hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we understood, and through the video that they sent us,
that there was going to be
there would
distance.
be a seat in between each person.
So we were thinking,
That
well,
was
how
not the case.
nice. We'll have a row to ourselves. We live in the same household anyway, so we can sit next to each other.
Yeah.
That was not the case,
Yeah.
Andrew. It was,
No, it was full flight.
it was a full flight. Everyone and their mom wanted to put, 3 pieces of luggage in the, I always carry on.
You know
because
those people
but
that
it's,
stand up after the plane lands?
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was full of you.
I'm
And
kidding.
it
I sit
pissed
down and
us
I
off.
wait.
well, and it's just like, are you going to get in line, or are you going to get to Denver any quicker than I am if you cut in line in front of me,
Oh, yeah, it was thunderstorming when we got there, so they held us up at the gate. And, Oh yeah, you can just watch these people just boiling.
losing their shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just
I was waiting for some kind of
Pop off.
YouTube moment to
Yeah.
come up. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be on the internet.
yeah.
So
So if you can avoid it, I would. I hate to say that because I want to put, money into these airlines that are probably hurting.
I want to put money into my own damn airplane.
I'm not worried
That's
about
what
the
that
airlines.
situation did
You're
for
not
me.
okay.
Well, here's the thing: the government is propping up airlines. The government is helping
okay.
out large businesses.
That
yeah,
is true.
that's true.
But
All
yeah,
these bailouts.
the best report that I've heard so far, or the nicest report so far, is saying 40% of all small businesses will be closed this year. 40%. And, so the airline's getting bailed out again. There's, all these large businesses that are getting help from the government. But, somebody that's got a hair salon that got shut
Yeah.
down because
Mandatory.
COVID.
Right.
Close it.
And
Yeah.
you'll lose your license if you...
Shop local, people.
For sure. And I just recently, I started looking at everything I buy. Like, where's this
Yeah,
made?
That's right.
absolutely.
Because if I can get away with buying something in Texas,
That's
I'm going to
why-
buy it Texan. My
Right.
next step is U.S. And if I
Right.
can't find it in U.S., I might not even buy it. Like, I
Right.
might wait until I can find it somewhere else just to buy U.S.
Yeah.
Um,
And it always starts with you. It starts with one person. So
yeah, for sure. I
Just
mean,
make it your own damn self.
yeah.
that's
Listen to
Grant's
Grant.
philosophy
If I
on
can't-
everything.
If I'm going to have to buy this crap from China, I'm going to learn how to make leather purses.
That's right.
It's not a purse. I have made purses, but they're
I'm
high
sorry.
quality handcrafted
I screwed
leather
up.
goods.
Okay, high quality, handcrafted leather goods.
It's-
And they're not for
yeah.
sale. So I know all of you are like, well, where's the web link? There's not one.
There's not one.
There
I
sh-
make
there
it
should
for my girls.
Yeah. You could charge
most part.
an insane amount of money for your handcrafted leather goods, your high quality handcrafted leather
High
goods.
quality.
Yeah.
I like them.
Let's make you a website.
I'm not going to
Let's
charge
get this
a lot of
ball
money.
rolling. Let's get you moved up to Colorado. And then, well, it can't be Texas made now, can it?
Well, here's the deal.
Well,
It never.
it's Texas roots.
You know how
Fort
it,
Worth roots,
you
right?
know how I always say never,
That's true.
because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, this did not start off. I didn't wake up one day and say, "Poof! I want to make purses. I want to make leather bags."
High
Remember
quality.
how it started?
Oh, yeah.
I really don't.
I wanted to reupholster the seats in the airplane.
Oh.
And
With
then as I started
leather?
researching it,
Uh-huh.
heck yeah, some leather.
It's going to be so hot.
That's what's in there now.
Oh, that's so hot.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It's plush. But as I started researching it and looking at what kind of tools I needed and how it was going to be done, I took some advice from somebody I watched, and it was, hey, start it small.
Yeah.
So I had a wallet that I'd been carrying for years,
Right.
and it was falling apart. I thought, okay, well, I'll just take this apart, copy it, make a pattern out, use it as a pattern, and make another one.
Yeah.
And, that's one of those deals that's in my pile of crap that I hope nobody ever sees, of
your
all the
first
things
off,
that
man.
I've ever made that, it took me a long time to get to where I felt good enough to give you a wallet
Yeah.
or to make Dianela a bag, or, whenever she tells me, oh, I want this kind of bag or whatever, to where I was like, yeah, I can make that. And I can make something that I'm proud that she will walk around with and carry every day.
Thousands of dollars have you already saved?
I added it up saved?
We're not there yet.
Hold on.
I do like to know, what I put in it.
Yeah.
I can tell you down to the dime how much that airplane cost me
Yeah.
and how much my car cost me. And, I like to budget and all
Yeah.
those things. I know. And it started hurting a little bit, so I stopped adding. But on the leather, I don't want to call it a hobby because, I like,
After a certain price point, it becomes a
A
thing.
lifestyle.
I don't know what to call it.
Well, give me a ballpark.
I've got thousands in it.
Yeah.
And versus what I've done, it's like,
Time to go back to making whiskey.
Shit.
No, my purse alone.
It has been a while since I've made some whiskey, which
Maybe that
You know.
Colorado altitude will give you some extra.
I was reading. You remember that time I had that little barrel and I stuck it in me and the kid hopped in the airplane and we took it up to like 12,000 feet and then came back
I
down.
don't remember you talking about that.
Yeah. I thought, well, the pressure will push that liquid into the wood, you know.
Did that work?
Yeah, when I landed, it smelled like whiskey really bad in that airplane.
Oh, no.
But it did, soak it into it and then release it.
Did it get all over the...
Yeah, it went everywhere.
Oh, no.
I had put it in a plastic bag and then put it in a plastic tub, set it in the back seat. We flew out to Graham and got like Dairy Queen or barbecue, one of the two, I don't remember. But, and of course, you fly something over there and there's always an old timer walks up and is like, woo, what is that smell, son? It's like, we're experimenting, sir.
Oh, gosh.
We're not drinking
Not what
it,
you
I
think.
swear. Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've made some. We have that Kuwait trip to thank for the whiskey making.
Yeah.
All of these things, it comes about by necessity.
Yeah.
Or maybe because I'm in the desert and I want to drink some whiskey. How do I get some whiskey?
For the record, he didn't share any whiskey with me in Kuwait,
Well,
which is fine because I told him no. I'm a rule follower only whenever I'm being watched under severe scrutiny. So
I'm gonna.
other than that,
Yeah.
it's whatever, man. I'm
It's
outside the
whatevs.
lines for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to go through the list of guests we've had because this was always intended to be the first episode. It became the 10th episode, but will be played. Okay, that was fun.
I'm excited to hear
That's
about
amazing.
all the
Stop.
guests that you've
Yeah.
interviewed.
Well, one of the first guests, that I interviewed with the new interface. This is a Rodecaster Pro, and it's kind of an all-in-one system. And y'all that are listening to this can look it up online.
it's really
It's
cool,
a
y'all.
Rodecaster. It looks like
It's got
something that
buttons.
a real professional would have.
It's lit up,
Yeah.
too.
It's lit up. All these make different sounds. You want to hear some?
Sure,
Dude,
yeah.
okay.
Let's try it out.
So-
I get the headphones?
I'm a bad host, and you can just put one up to your ear if you don't want
Okay.
to put it over. They swivel.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Got it.
Anyway, we're all supposed to have a headset, and it's so that whenever I do this, can you hear the difference?
Oh,
Whenever
yeah, I
back
can't hear
and
you
Whenever I get way up here next to the microphone.
Yeah.
These are dynamic microphones, and they're only supposed to pick up this. So
Okay,
whenever
gotcha.
Iggy's over there drinking water, it doesn't pick it up as
Oh,
much.
nice.
But if I'm a guest
hear you.
and I go way back here,
Yeah, I can't
so that's
hear
why it's important. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show Dianela some of the preloaded audio tracks. That's supposed to be like the intro music.
I like
right?
it.
And
I
it's
like
got
it.
its own independent sliders,
Swanky.
so I can turn
Oh,
it up
wow.
and down, fade
This
in
is
and out.
fancy.
I'm telling you. All right, so we kill that one, and then I think this one's laughter. Is that a laugh track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're not being funny.
Yeah, when
you
I'm
can
not funny. All right.
Need a little
And then
help.
What's this one? I can't hear it. What is that?
It's applause.
Applause.
Audience
Ah.
applause. Uh-huh.
Positive affirmation.
And then this one right here is just like,
Oh, but
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
What's this one?
Oh, crickets.
Crickets.
Aw. Don't use that one. That's me. Oh, like the magical, what are those things? The chimes. The
Story
magical
time,
chimes.
like when we're
Ooh.
Sorry, I touched the microphone.
see what happens when you touch the microphone. So that's like back in the day.
Yeah, that's
Yeah?
right. Yeah.
What's this one?
Oh, it's like scary, like
Twilight Zone
yeah,
kind of sounding
yeah.
thing.
We won't use that one.
Might need to.
Wah wah wah.
And that's the left track.
Yeah.
So that's all of it. But
That's really cool.
there's
That
a
is really
menu on
cool.
here where we can load because that's
Now
8
it's
buttons.
got Iggy hair on it.
That's
Sorry.
all right. That's just my headset. But it's got 8 buttons right here, and then I can switch to another screen, and it will load up 8 different options. So
Oh, wow.
there's a total of 16 different sound effects. What I want to do is get you on your guitar to do the intro for the podcast.
That's another thing we didn't mention.
And then I can load it on. That's another damn thing you do, Grant.
Yeah.
Can't help that.
He's a musician. Of course you are. Yeah. He plays the guitar really well. And
Harmonica, too.
did you do all these things just so that you could win Dianela over? I mean,
think it
because
was-
a woman like
I
Dianela,
didn't
you've
know
got to
it at
have a
the
lot of
time.
skills.
I didn't know it at the time,
Yeah.
but just happened that way.
Yeah.
Right guy, right place, right time.
And shame on you for being so picky. You need a man that's a musician, makes his own
know.
bread, flies an airplane,
Don't
works
settle.
on helicopters.
Never
Don't
Girls that
settle.
are listening, don't settle. Find yourself a Grant.
There's not
Only
enough
one
grants.
Grant.
I mean, if there are more grants, I've never met one.
I haven't either. That's why I scooped him up when I did.
Yeah. All right, so I'll go through the list here of the guests we've had so far. I had to go to my Instagram. Fort Worth Roots is now. I don't understand Fort Worth or the. I don't understand the Instagrams yet. So I just tell people go to Fort Worth Roots on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just search Fort Worth Roots.
there you go. Okay, cool. So Lindsay Hightower of the Hightower Band. That was our first guest. And that was before I got the interface and all the nice microphones and the stands and all that. So we literally did the whole thing on LAV mics, so those little lapel mics.
Yeah.
And the quality is awful.
Okay.
And I think that after this one, in order, I'm going to put the Lindsay Hightower interview right after this one. So it'll be episode 2.
Okay.
I think that's the way I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a great interview. We had a lot of fun. But the audio quality is...
Not great.
it's caca.
Well,
So we're going to have her back on. She just got off
Let's call it growth.
growth for sure.
Yeah.
Cutting teeth.
Well, yeah,
There you
each
go.
time you're learning something,
Exactly.
Well, and I thought I was going to get away with just having the LAV mics like for the life of the podcast because
Oh.
it's supposed to be a traveling podcast. I'm like, this will be easy.
But this is like lightweight.
it's not
and-
too bad.
Yeah.
But it's worth the inconvenience to have this level of audio quality. So then the next guest after Lindsay and Taylor, her guitarist,
Oh, cool.
was your friend
Ashley Meyer.
Ashley Meyer. And she went to New York with 5,000 nurses from around the country as a support effort during the COVID-19 thing. So she went up there. She worked for, I think, 21 days, helped out as much as she could, and then came back home and shared her story with us.
She's an amazing human being.
Well, that was a really good episode, and we're very thankful to have her on. I told her
Absolutely.
next time, we never
Sorry.
introduced the next guest, Iggy.
Iggy.
Iggy has joined us
This is Iggy
from the
Boo
floor.
Bear.
Don't be shy now. You just came up here to say hi.
hello.
Iggy is a
He
Boston
doesn't talk
Terrier.
much. Yeah, he's a Boston Terrier.
Yeah, and he's
About 7 years old.
7 years young, and he is the best doggy ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
And he really likes Andrew.
He does. All dogs like me. I have special wizard-like powers over dogs.
Gotcha.
I've never been bitten by a dog.
Really?
No, I've been bitten twice by 2 different dogs. 2 totally different situations. And I don't understand. I was just trying to say hi,
Yeah.
and that's why they bit my hand.
Wow.
Okay. Let me make sure I get their names right. These 2 folks, I put out a Facebook just kind of feeler, like asking people like, hey, if you're in Fort Worth and you help build this community, I'd like to have you on my show and hear your story.
Yeah.
So I had Jennifer Castillo and Prince Whiting, and they are the owners of House of Whiting, which is a commercial and residential real estate firm here in Fort
Cool.
Worth, DFW
Okay.
area. And we sat down. I think that one's like an hour long, and it was a good episode. It was the first, is that right? No, the first episode that I used, the interface was with Ashley. This was the second one I did with the interface. So that was a good one. And he's got a picture, and this is on my Instagram if y'all are just listening, but it's, who is that guy that
I
he's
don't
standing next to?
know.
Old Town Road. You remember that song?
Oh, what's his name? He's like a rapper, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, a country rapper, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they're?
Yeah, and it
what
doesn't
he
say on
markets
the
himself
picture,
as.
so I don't know who that is, but it's
That's a
It's,
fun picture for
Prince
sure.
Prince Whiting is wearing a cowboy hat, and he's standing next to the guy from that song Old Town Road, and he's got a cowboy hat on, and they're just mean mugging,
I
just
know.
looking cool together.
It's a good
So I
picture.
posted that, and then he fired back whenever I said he never explained this picture because I just went on to Instagram and stole it.
Oh,
But he just said it was some kind of marketing thing they did, but he didn't explain any more than that. So I'm gonna have to get them back on the show and ask them about that. This is Jake Ferris. He's a musician. Let me make sure I get the name of that. Smokin' Jake Ferris is the name of his band.
Cool.
So he came in, played a little bit for us.
don't you get that guy to play for you? He's way better.
Well, he
He's got a
did.
band.
He did play.
Get him to make you a track.
I could do that,
Ask him
or I could bug
nicely.
you to do it. God,
I don't want to be an asshole, but I got a lot of shit going on.
this is
The
Lucas.
guitar's packed.
He's the host of Just Sway podcast.
Are we related?
Y'all might
Spelled the same way.
be. Yeah, you're looking at it there, Peterson. And then making sure I don't mess up anybody's names. Matthew Broyles and his friend Trista Morris came on, and he played a little bit for us. I snapped that photo like a creeper while he was ignoring
It's a
me.
good
It's a good
photo.
picture. I like
It's a good
that
picture. Yeah, it's off the phone with the two screens.
Yeah.
And this lady here is a marketer. She is a photographer. She pretty much does everything. Her name's Molly Mayfield.
Yeah.
She's the owner of MRM Agency, and she pretty much does everything under the sun as far as marketing for companies, but she's photographed for the Dallas Stars
Oh,
and
wow.
Wow.
a bunch of pro teams and college teams, and she was a lot of fun. We did kind of a shorter episode. I think she had an engagement right after that. And then this lady, we just did hers, and I'm going to have to go back to the podcast recording to see how exactly she pronounces her name. It is a German name. It's Lauren Kutschke, I believe is how you say it, but I'm probably butchering it. Lauren, I'm sorry. But she, let's make sure I don't mess up the name of her company, saltedpages.com, and she does copywriting for different businesses, and she takes over their mailing list, email marketing, and things like that.
Oh, cool.
But she's really good at what she does, and I looked at her webpage before I sat down and talked to her, and it's just very professional.
Yeah.
It looks like a large corporation put this together, but
Right.
it's all her, and they're from, well, they moved around a lot, but they just recently moved from Utah to Fort Worth. I think they moved down here in September, and so she's setting up her business down here, and her husband just took on a job at an airline, and then coronavirus hit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but they made their way through it, and she's got a very positive attitude.
That's
and-
awesome.
Good.
She's got a great smile, too.
Yeah, she does. And then make sure I don't mess up her name. Neetu Rishi. And you got to put some emphasis behind tu.
Too.
Right. So
Me too.
she is an author, and then she has a whole gamut of things that she does. But I think what she's most passionate about is being a mentor and helping people with whatever their goals are.
Awesome.
So, and just a very positive personality. They were very hospitable. We did the interview, and then we sat down and had tea together, me, her, and her husband, and then her daughter showed up, and her daughter's a choreographer and has her own business. And
Cool.
Yeah. She's only like 19, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a great work ethic.
Yeah. So they moved here from India. I think she said 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, and just everybody hit the ground running. The kids are all doing their own thing, and
That's awesome.
she's got her thing going.
Good
and
for
her
them.
husband works from home, and
Yeah.
just a dynamite family.
Living the American dream.
for sure. And I think I hope I didn't miss anybody, but anyway, those are the ones that we're gonna set to release whenever I get everything up and running. Do all 10 episodes as a block, and this will be the first one.
Cool.
I'm really excited,
Yeah.
Andrew. It sounds amazing.
So I'm going to be bugging you guys all the way up in Colorado. Yeah.
That's fine. We'll
Be in
figure out a
separate
way
cars.
to do.
No, I mean, like, once you get up there
Oh.
and you're like, okay, and you take a deep breath and you're like, now it's time to finally start my new life. And then ding dong.
I
And
can't
it's
hear
me.
you over the rotor wash. It's so loud.
Time for
No.
another podcast.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to have you up there, and I'm excited to talk to Fort Worth roots up in Colorado Springs. We're always going to have Fort Worth roots.
For sure.
So.
For sure. And I'm gonna go ahead and just say I don't think that's home for you. Y'all are gonna move up there. You're gonna be
No,
very
Fort Worth.
happy. It's gonna be great. But I think you'll be back.
Fort Worth is always home.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Never say never, though.
Yeah.
You don't
true.
know what's going to
That's true.
happen. You ready for anything?
I'm gonna need probably all of your skills to make sure that the mobile podcast studio is top notch. And the first thing I see are leather seats, everything wrapped in handmade
man.
Grant Peterson leather, and it's gonna have the GP logo branded into the headrests.
Nice.
Yeah,
Why don't we do your initials, though? It's your truck.
but it's your leather.
I mean, I'm going to go buy it somewhere.
Could we do something more exotic, like giraffe leather?
Oh, wow.
Is that a thing?
I don't know, but I don't like to think about that.
You're okay with cows having their hide ripped off, but you draw the line at
Yeah,
long-necked
that's true.
animals. What
Well,
if
there's
it
more
w-
cows in this world than there are giraffes,
Did
right?
you look that up?
No, I didn't. I don't know.
Just
Please don't
made
quote
up
me
that
on that.
statistic.
I'm pretty sure she's right.
What
Yeah.
if you went like really far on this, like totally off reservation, and you just did giraffe neck leather
Oh, wow. That would be like super specialty.
and extremely
long
wasteful too,
piece.
because there's a bunch
what
of
about
other
the rest of the giraffe?
jerky,
I'm sure they use every part of that thing. So
giraffe jerky. Could that be?
But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess they do have hide, right?
Yeah.
Gotta have something to hold all that water in.
Yeah.
I'm an educated professional.
Yeah, and then you serve it to your guest. You don't tell them what it is, and whenever they say this is really good jerky, you be like, "Yeah," and you're sitting on the neck. And they'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
It's giraffe.
That's giraffe
Okay,
jerky.
as long as you use every part of the animal,
I'll have
I
to
think
come
I'm
up with
okay that.
interesting ways to incorporate an
Yeah.
entire giraffe. I'm sorry. I know I did it again. I got weird. I got weird.
It's to be expected.
You just
Yeah.
you just let me do it too. You didn't go, shh. That's enough.
Well, I mean,
Rein
I'm
me
sure
back in.
anybody who's listening to this who knows you knows.
Mhm.
She just let you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
There's
true.
no point in stopping it.
You can't really.
I know.
It's no fun anyway. You gotta be you, man.
I would probably be in a lot worse. Well, I'd definitely be in a worse place if I hadn't met Grant. But Grant saved me so many times by
Well,
just
you saved me.
grabbing me by the sleeve and pulling me to
Mm-hmm.
the side and being like, "Hey, I know that this is the way you're thinking right now, but maybe think of it like this," or just calm me down so that I would just not lose it.
We've pulled each other out of the gutter many times. So
Well, thank you.
it's a
And
mutual
I love
thing.
both of you very, very much.
Aw, I
And
love
we
you
love
too,
you.
man.
Sad
Yeah.
that you guys are going to move, but
It's
I'm
not that
excited.
far.
It's not, and
It's like
I'm
10 hours in a car and 4.5 hours in airplane.
How many times do you think I'm just going to be like, Grant, come get me, and then I meet you at an airfield and you swoop by and pick me up?
I already got the route planned.
Okay, fine. I'm going to do it,
Okay.
which I think is probably the
We're gonna stop
biggest
in.
ask ever would be,
Yeah.
hey, just
No,
fly
you
down
just-
and pick
Just
me
meet
up.
me
Just have
over
to bring him some Central Market,
Yeah.
and he'll be good.
Central
Ooh.
Market. The blood orange soda, Italian soda,
And the pimento cheese.
the pimento cheese. Those are two staples, and the dark chocolate salted caramels.
Okay, that's
That's
how I'll
it.
spin it. That's
Those
how I'll
three
spin it.
items.
Those things right there. Those are
Y'all are just going to have to come up with a list of stuff you need. I will acquire the list, and then I will pay for the fuel. And then you come down, get me.
Well,
And
it's
then I'll
super
have the
cheap right
stuff.
now.
Yeah.
I saw in Pampa, which is one of the
The stops.
the stop. We could probably make it on one tank, but
No.
just for bladder's sake,
Sure.
we'll stop 2.5 hours in.
Absolutely.
In Pampa, it's like $2.70.
Aviation
I
fuel.
saw, yeah, for
Absolutely.
100 low lead. That's like Jet A prices.
Yeah. Well,
So-
was it when I was working on my pilot license down in Addison, I remember seeing $6 a gallon.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
That was back in 2012.
yeah. Whenever you buy it from the FBOs, the big name FBOs,
Uh-huh.
you know, I'm a little guy. I'm gonna stop at the little county municipal
Sure, give
with
them
the
some support.
self-serve gas pump, and
They don't have a ramp fee usually.
not usually, no. You know, but whenever, like when we went to New Orleans, we landed there at Lakeview. You know, they'll let you park for free if you buy a certain amount of gas.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's the
we
move.
do that. So yeah, sometimes you got to buy the expensive stuff,
Yeah.
but
But
it
they
is
have
what it is.
snacks. So
Oh, what kind of snacks, D?
I remember eating some pretzels.
Yeah.
I don't think they were chocolate covered
I was
because
about
that
to
would have
ask.
been the cherry on top, but
Or the chocolate on top.
the chocolate covered
Yeah,
pretzel.
customer service in those places is usually out of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
If you know, they treat us just the same as they treat the people getting off of the Gulf Stream that just flew.
Right.
in.
Mhm.
So
Right.
Maybe even a little better, right? Because that guy in that Gulf Stream, he might have a bit of a kick in his step. You
I
know,
don't know. I mean,
I would.
as
I
long-
just if I just landed a
I
Gulf
mean-
Stream, don't look at me. Don't look at me in the
I don't know.
eye.
Just
I just
thinking,
I
you
just
know,
I
you,
just flew in a Gulf Stream.
you get what you give, you know. So
I know, but it's gonna be
You-
hard. You're piloting your own Gulf Stream. Jesus,
I think you
that
gotta
thing's
have
got a
two.
bathroom in it.
I think you gotta have two pilots for that one. So I need, you know, you or Dianela to get their
What is
pilot's
the
license.
what is? I'll beat you to it.
Oh,
Um,
you win.
Hey,
you can have
but
that
you went
one.
and got your Harley, or not your Harley, your motorcycle
I
endorsement.
did,
So
I
you're
did.
almost as qualified as me on like
Hardly.
fringe things that you can be licensed on. So what is the largest multi-engine aircraft that you could pilot solo without having to get a co-pilot?
So it
Beechcraft?
goes by it goes by the weight. 12,500 pounds, I believe. And I'm not a commercial pilot, so I
Right,
don't
right.
know this shit, and that's never been in my realm.
Yeah.
So I haven't looked into it
Okay, so
very
it's
much.
by
But
weight.
what I remember
Uh-huh.
when I was doing all this stuff, you know, years ago, was it's by weight.
Yeah.
So 12,500 pounds is the magic number.
Yeah.
So, mine weighs 2.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So.
Right.
But
Well, one day we're
so
gonna
the
need
largest,
a large jet.
I mean, shit, you can do a Learjet by yourself.
Yeah.
You can do, you can certainly. There are, single pilot, a great number of airplanes that you can fly across the pond in.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to hold you back.
Do you feel like the private pilot community is getting larger?
Ooh. Certainly getting older.
Right.
I'm not around very many flight schools though, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not seeing. Certainly getting older. The general aviation, and I
Don't know. That would be an interesting thing to look into because a lot of those little fringe groups, it seems
Yeah.
like, are drying up. I know this is so far off, but like the CB radio community is almost completely gone. There used to be
all
CB
the old guys.
Yeah, there used to be CB radio communities that went over the entire United
yeah.
States, and you could send a message from Seattle, Washington, all the way down to Florida somewhere if you wanted to, via the connection of people on CB radios.
Wow.
And it just
That's cool.
Well, it doesn't exist
Wow,
anymore.
yeah.
I don't think.
Sure, yeah.
But just a hobby group that set this thing up so that the nation would always have a secondary fringe communication source. So.
Well, we need it.
Yeah, we do, and it's a shame to see something like that peter out. But I hope that the private pilot community is not suffering the same kind of drawback. I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, it's all about bringing new folks into the fold.
for sure.
I try to share it with as many people as I can.
Kind of like the VFW just
Yep.
less than a block from here that closed down and turned into a barbecue joint because nobody was going.
Such good barbecue.
Yeah. Goodbye, VFW. Hello, beautiful barbecue.
Burn ends.
What's the name of it?
Heim Barbecue.
And this is this White Settlement here?
This is White Settlement here.
Yeah, if
White
y'all haven't
Settlement
checked
Road.
out Heim, White
It's full,
Settlement
yeah.
Road. Place is incredible.
River District.
What were the pork tips or whatever?
Yeah, the burn ends.
Bacon
Burn-ins.
burn-ins.
Oh, Jesus Christ, those are good.
Oh, and smothered
Meat
in that
candy.
sauce. Meat
Yeah.
candy. That's exactly what it is.
Well, guys, I've tortured you for an hour and a half. Thank you for sitting in and doing
Of
the
course.
first episode with me. We'll have to look back on this in a year. Hopefully we'll laugh and not
I
cry.
hope so.
I really am going to try to do like very minimal editing on this so that it's legit. All the
Well, I
painful
hope
pauses and the uhs and the ahs and the
Yeah, that's no pressure, right?
Well,
whatever.
as always, we wish you the best of luck, and we know you're going to do good in whatever it is that you do.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for humoring
you.
me. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to play some more of your music now. Thank
All
y'all for
right.
listening. Bye.